Hey there, it's Jen from Fabulous Paper Emporium and welcome to my channel. Today we have another card and it's a rocker card. So I know the angle isn't quite great for this, but believe me, it rocks. I'm pretty sure you can see that. And not because it's just the coolest card ever, but anyhow, so with the rocker card, you've got your place for your sentiment on the back. It does flip open. However, I put this stopper here, and the reason for that is on this surface, it's textured, it sits, and it's perfect. But on a smoother texture or a smoother surface, it just kind of flopped open. So there had to be a bit of a stopper for the card to just sit like that and not expand any further than what this little piece will allow. So that's why that's there. And but if you were making a smaller version of this, I was thinking that would make super cute place cards or what have you, for Thanksgiving or for any occasion really. I've just done it in a fall theme because I'm doing a card swap. So I figured whilst I was making the card, I could do a little quick video. So we are using today several circles. So I'll give you the sizes of these circles, and I started with basically the largest one I had. So this one is 5.5 inches in diameter. And so that is the largest circle. That is just kind of your regular run-of-the-mill 65-pound cardstock. Then we have another circle, and this one is 5.25. I just use my dies, but if you have a Cricut, that would be great. I know that there are these little kind of like, they're not like a compass, but kind of, because you can cut. And anyways, you have a little bit more control over what size your circles are. So this second circle, because this one is basically going to be the support, I made this one out of 110-pound cardstock. And then we have our lovely decorative circle, which is 5 inches. And then I believe the circle here is also 5. Yeah. So this one we're going to be cutting in half to do some layering on the back side. And then to add another layer, because why not? Then we have our last circle, which is 4.5 inches. Okay. So those are all of the circles that we are going to need. I'm also using a bunch of ephemera. I had a lot of ephemera left over. I've been kind of trying to figure out ways to use the leftover ephemera that I have. And with this particular collection, it's the ephemera rather, is Simple Stories, the Simple Vintage Country Harvest. You get like 63 pieces. So how could you, like, it's hard to use all of that unless you're making an album. So great way to get rid of or use up some of your stash. So in this one, I just used one of the tags, one of the sayings, well, 2 of the sayings, popped some up on some of the foam, hearts, and whatnot. And it just turned out super cute. So thus the tutorial for today. So with your largest circle, all I did was fold it in half. Was kind of the easiest way to get that halfway mark. And then you're just going to want to burnish that really well, like so. So then you've got your base for the rocker card. The next part is the circles. Now, thankfully, we just keep these whole. If you wanted to, you could just make them and cut them all in half as far as these go, in which case you wouldn't need 110 pound. You could just get away with 65 pounds since you're layering. But that would make a super cute, maybe like a watermelon card or, you know, just a cute little card, I guess. I feel like I'm rambling now, so I'm gonna slow down for a bit. So this one is going to leave us with 1/8 border around the bottom. And then you're going to be left with the same border when you apply your designer paper. So the designer paper that I'm using, it's just a beautiful fall plaid paper pad from Photoplay. And I'm looking for it right now. Yeah, so it comes with a few solids, but then you've got these beautiful plaids that are part of it. And they are in lovely fall colors. There is a Christmas one as well, which I love equally. So, I mean, it really is pretty simple. But I guess what most of my video today will be to kind of figure out how it is that I'm going to be decorating this. So I'm going to start off. I've started off all of my circles, well, all of the pattern paper is I've used some of my vintage photo, of course, and inked my edges. And I'm just going to apply some of my Barely art and apply that as evenly as I possibly can. Now, it's up to you. This is a plaid straight lines, so you can purposely put it on an angle, and this way when you apply it to your card, you're not stressed out about, you know, are my lines straight, especially if it's something like this. So I try to purposely put it on an angle because lining everything up afterwards may be a bit challenging. So just, you know, food for thought is what it's called. Now, what I've done with my ephemera, because I had so much left over, my options were not endless, but I had a lot of options. I kind of put them into categories. So I have my little tags over here. So I'm just going to pick from kind of one of my tags. I've got some of my floral, leafy kind of elements over here with some butterflies, pumpkins. Oh, there's some more kind of vegetation-ish kind of stuff. And then I've got my little sayings over here and some tickets, that kind of thing. So things that I'm going to want to put on there. And then it comes with, I've used one already. It comes with, this was a new-ish pack. I had opened it for another project, but I don't think I ended up using it. So, you know, I'm going to pick one of the fall sayings to go on here. And then, you know, depending on how this turns out. So I really like the larger tags. And on the original one, I took my brads. I had a look-see. And I've got these beautiful little copper kind of colored ones, which I thought would mix nicely with the fall theme. So I just put that through the top of the tag. Of course, if you don't have a tag, you could always make one. They're super simple. You would just make it as wide as you want, as long as you want, and then you just cut these little angles at the top. And to do that, you would mark down and then across from the corner, whatever amount it is. So whether that's a 1/4 of an inch, this kind of looks like a 1/4 of an inch. So 1/4 of an inch down, 1/4 of an inch over, you put your little pencil marks and cut away. And then you've got an instant tag. So really, really super easy to create these on your own. So I think I'm going to use that one. And then that one's lovely, but I feel like it's very big. This one fits in really nicely there. So I feel like I'm going to use those two elements. I love the, you know, monochromatic feel of how that's looking as well. There were some, you know, kind of this turquoisey kind of color, bluey color kind of throughout. So I felt like that really worked. But I feel like with the color of the pattern paper here, I think I'm going to do a little bit more monochromatic. So we're going to go with the oranges and things like that. So sending fall vibes might look nice. We're going to be popping some of these up on some foam. So I just want to make sure that I'm, you know, putting things in where they're going to make some sense. And if we want to put in some of these cute little hearts, we can. They might get a little bit lost because no, they'll just be a little bit more subtle is all. So do something like that with the 3 hearts. Something like that. Pop some of that up on some dimensionals and kind of away you go. So I think those are kind of the same elements. Try to stick to kind of the similar elements because all the cards I'm making, not that they have to be identical, but I like to keep them basically the same when I'm doing card swap. So that's what I'm going to use for this. So I'm just going to grab to keep kind of continuity. I'm not going to do it to this because I like the little border that this kind of gives, but I'm going to go around with my vintage photo on all the other elements with the exception of this piece, that florally piece. Floral, it's foliage there, foliage. And it's already got a cute little butterfly. So, at least I think that's a butterfly. Yeah, that's a butterfly. All right, so, and this just adds a little bit of dimension to my pieces that I'm using, but it also gets rid of the white core that you'll find on the outside of the cut aparts or the die cuts. These are die cuts, they're not cut aparts. And then it's just assembly time. So this again I love cards that are conducive to kind of like a production line assembly. So you do the same thing over and over. And so, you know, my first goal was let's cut all the bases. And then the next was I went through all the layers one by one. I just realized that is off, but you know, with the other elements on it, it's probably not going to be as noticeable. There we go. I'm going to do something like that. Okay, and then now it's just a matter of which ones do I want to pop up and which ones do I want to lay flat. I think I like the way that what I did before, which was the floral element or the foliage out of florals for the summer, and now we're quickly moving into fall. Boy, was it brisk this morning. And I think some of I've got one plant outside that needs to be coming in very, very soon, like tonight. So I'm just going to lay that down. And then I'm going to get some more of my foam tape so that I can put that up on some, don't have any rolls of foam tape, unfortunately. So I end up using a ton of these little octagons, because I think they're octagons. So apply, I'm going to make sure, because I have my little brad and I don't really want that moving around, I put 2 of them on either side so they're holding on tight to that part so it doesn't spin around. You don't see the edges of the brads kind of poking up on top. And putting a few of these on to lay down. Then it's just a matter of kind of laying these elements kind of where you had. But you know, if you're doing like I do and just kind of playing around with the elements as you are before you start, you know, gluing things down, then, you know, you can change things up and move things around and, you know, have some fun. Add lots of fun layers. But now I've got to peel all these little backings off, which is kind of a pain. I'm not going to lie. Not even going to lie. Okay, and then this guy is going to go over that way. Just coming up a little bit higher, like so. And none of the elements that I'm putting on here are super heavy, which is why I feel pretty confident about doing my layering now as opposed to when it's actually on the card. But if you were using maybe some floral, like the 3D flowers, excuse me, some gems, those kinds of embellishments, things that are going to be a little bit more weighty when it comes to a card, though, that's when you probably want to take a minute, apply your circles to the actual base. And this way, when you tack things on, you can see how the card is going to react. So thankfully, none of the items, like I said, are going to be super heavy. So I don't feel like I'm going to have a lopsided card, but that is something that you want to take into consideration when you're building this type of card. So, and it does, you know, certainly does lend itself to having some big, bold flowers on there. If you so wished, you can make it look like it's, you know, a bouquet kind of coming out of a basket. That would be very pretty. So I'm going to put this up at the top like so. It doesn't have to stay quite in the area. Like it can go off to the sides. I would hesitate kind of going up too far because this already is, you know, 5.5 by 5.25 ish. So, you know, just want to be mindful of that. And then for this piece, I'm going to have part of it on, part of it off. But I definitely want to make sure that I don't really go past below here because we only have about 1/8 of an inch, give or take, on the border. So I want to make sure that that stays, you know, within at least the brown circle. So I've got part that is going to be on top of my tag, which is already on foam, and then part that is not. So I'm going to do my best to just kind of put 2 little foam pieces, one underneath where the L's are and one, actually both where the L's are because there's chill and fall. So I'm going to put one there and one there. And that way, when this isn't going to get all crushed down, if I felt like it needed another one in between, I would put it there, but I don't think it really does. So, you know, another kind of little thing. So I'm just kind of making a mental note of where to also put my glue. So I'm going to peel the backing off my little foam dots and then apply some glue for the fall and just above the C there, and then get that placed. Perfect. And now I can fill in with my little hearts that I've picked out. Okay, I'm going to put one there. Don't even really remember where I put these ones, but this is just kind of filler. So once you have everything else laid down, then you can certainly come in, put all your little adornments on. Put something over here. I kind of like it kind of just coming over a little bit. All right, and now we are going to put our elements on. Before we do the front though, so we have these circles which are going to need to be cut in half. And I don't know if you happen to have watched one of my previous card tutorials where we did kind of like this half circle swirly kind of thing that was happening. I basically used my trimmer, my paper trimmer, to cut all of my circles in half. And the circle, the roundness of the circle kind of fits into this little area right here where the blade would normally go up. It kind of stops there if you give it a little bit of pressure. Plus, I know that this is 5 inches. So I'm also going to make sure that at the widest part, it hits the 2.5. So I've got kind of 2 checks and balances there in order to split my circles in half. Then this one, I've got 4.5 inches. So this should reach 2.25, which it does. Yep. That's right there. And we're going to split that one. So these ones are really easy to split. If you don't have a paper trimmer, you could always fold them in half and then cut on the fold line. The only thing is that you might have a bit of like a bumpy edge. So you may have to go back and trim it a little bit. But that is another possible way. And what I did with the other ones is I just added a little bit, so it didn't look so crisp and new. It had a little bit of an antique-y kind of feel to it, because I've done that to so many other pieces of this card. Like so. We're going to layer that. Just makes it easier to put this actually on the card before you go ahead and put the design elements, which have a lot of foam and some dimension to it, which can be a little bit challenging. Okay, so I'm going to put that like so. We're also going to do our little stopper before I forget. And so these pieces are just simply cut at 1 inch wide by 2 inches long. I'm going to stick that in my scoreboard. Excuse me. I'm going to grab my scoring tool and I'm just going to score at every 1/2 inch. Oh, that 1/2 inch one. Jeez. So this is now scored at 1/2 inch, 1 inch, and 1.5 inches. And then I'm just going to go ahead and fold this. It doesn't really need to be neat, tidy. You're just basically looking for a W, like so. You're going to apply some glue on each little W wing, so to speak, like so. And then I am going to fold that all up, until it pops and lands on my ephemera. And I'm just going to fit this in here in the middle, just at the bottom, like so. So there you've got your stopper is installed. I am going to add my, of course, if you wanted to write any kind of sentiment on here, I would recommend that you do that before putting this on, because again, all of the elements, including the stopper, are going to be, make it a little bit challenging to get like some straight lines written. And then this part, excuse me, is going to go on just like so. So you can easily just flip this over and do yourself a little mark on here. I did that the first time and it worked out okay. I had to fiddle around with it a little bit because when I went to apply it, I turned it over. So I think for this one, I'm just going to apply it onto my card base like so. I know that I have a border going around the outside. So I'm just going like this, like so. And this way, when I'm going to apply my top part, I have, you know, a better vantage point since I'm just kind of looking at it straight on. Excellent. That's also why I put things kind of a little bit askew, because then it doesn't, you know, perfection is really not what I'm aiming for. And there you go. You have our second rocker card. So that is a pretty simple card, great for all occasions. Christmas, I probably am going to do this for my Christmas cards this year. If not, then I probably am going to make some little place card things for dinners and whatnot. So hopefully you have enjoyed my tutorial today. I want to give a shout out because I did see this on Sam Calcott's page. So I want to give a shout out to her. Thank you so much for the inspiration. And like I said, hopefully you've enjoyed it. If you have any questions or comments or feedback, you can put everything in the comments below. I love to hear back from you. And if you're not already a subscriber, hit that subscribe button and become part of our fabulous group of friends. I would really appreciate that as well. So hopefully you are inspired by today's tutorial. If you are, that would be fabulous. You can always post your beautiful creations over on our Facebook page. But for the time being, I really appreciate your time today. Hopefully you have had a fabulous time. I know I have. You have a fabulous rest of your day and you stay safe and well. I'll see you next time. Bye.